My name is Christian Juru, and I am a host of this podcast. Today we have two attorneys from Nigeria, to be more precise. And it's a pleasure for me to meet you. We met through an online publication, Adebayo, you made. So, could you please briefly introduce yourself and tell us about Cresthall Attorneys and your expertise in blockchain compliance?
Thank you, Christian. My name, of course, like as is rightly stated, is Adebayo and Adebare. I am the managing partner of Cresthall Attorneys. Cresthall Attorneys is a boutique technology law firm based in Lagos, Nigeria, and we service a large chunk of technology clientele from tech startups to established businesses. With respect to blockchain and cryptocurrency compliance, we also serve and we are also shareholders in RAP CBDC, which is the foundational and operational member of the Africa Stablecoin Consortium.
Mhm.
Uh, Foundationally, and has been granted the first stablecoin
Mhm.
license in Nigeria. So what we do generally is we provide corporate commercial technology intellectual property uh,
Mhm.
services to technology clients. With respect to blockchain and compliance, we help with ensuring, of course, compliance with financial action tax force regulations,
Mhm.
drafting AML regulations, counterterrorism, compliance procedures, as well as
Mhm.
advice generally in those areas
Mm.
professionally. So, of course, aside from that, we also render certain other dispute resolution services within that space, as well as
Mhm.
regulatory compliance and interface services with government agencies trying to seek, for companies trying to seek, licenses with the regulators. We've had interfaces with the Securities and Exchange Commission, with the
Mhm.
CBN, and other government agencies. So, not just crypto compliance, but general corporate compliance uh, is what we oversee. And then
Mm.
we run this, primarily from our Lagos office, but we also have, offices in Abuja where we also interface with government
Mm.
agencies. Technically,
Mm.
thank you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Adebare, please.
Okay, yes, I feel Adebayo has covered most of the ground. My name is Adebare Akinwumi. I head the Technology and Entertainment and Intellectual Property Division at Cresthall Attorneys, and I am a partner as well. And yes, we do most of the things or all of the things that Adebayo has mentioned, among
Mm.
other things. Yes, general counseling as well and
Mhm.
technology advisory. Those are the services that we offer to our
Mhm.
client.
Mm.
Yes.
Okay. So, thank you very much. You said intellectual property, and I was like, okay, should I ask the question about NFT in Nigeria, or maybe later, a little bit later? So,
Yeah, you don't.
as yeah, as I was saying, I discovered Adebayo through one of your LinkedIn publication about the first Nigerian stablecoin, the CNGN. Can you tell us more about this initiative and its importance for the Nigerian, but also for the African blockchain ecosystem?
Now, okay, yes. The idea is there is some level of apprehension with respect to cryptocurrencies generally, and a
Mm,
large chunk of that is because you know uh, the governments cannot particularly regulate, and regulation is, as we've seen from the FTX crisis, you see that
mhm,
regulation in some instances is very important. So regulation goes two ways. It is
mm,
both as a matter of public policy
mhm.
and as a matter of taxation.
Yeah.
Public policy in the sense of security, money laundering, terrorism, financing, and
Mm,
consumer protection. As evidenced by FTX in itself,
mhm,
trying to protect the public. Nigeria has gone through its fair share of bank failures
mhm,
through irregularities, so they are much more proactive in trying to regulate those spares. So, what exactly did the CBN then do? The CBN then released a circular saying that we do not know what this is. We do not trust
mm.
what this is. Trade with
Oh,
financial institutions, do not touch cryptocurrencies,
okay.
and then just don't touch it. It wasn't an express ban, but it was sort of an implicit ban at that point
Yeah.
in time.
Mm.
we then it then drove everybody to go into the peer-to-peer system trying to
Mhm.
exchange. And the peer-to-peer system in itself, this is sort of contrary to what cryptocurrencies are
Mm.
trying to do, because the point
Yeah.
of it is a decentralized ledger system where you do not have to rely on an individual to carry out transactions. But the
Yeah.
peer-to-peer system then allows you, then you still have to interface with an individual to carry out that transaction.
Mhm.
So how do we solve that problem? How do we ensure that crypto users can carry out transactions? How do we ensure that the government are not afraid of these transactions? That's
Mm.
where the compliance stablecoin comes into play,
Yeah.
which is then the engine. So what do? We take your naira, we wrap it, and then we put it on the public blockchain for you to be able to trade, which
Mm.
effectively eliminates the peer-to-peer system. So
Yeah.
you can then move directly from fiat
Mhm.
to stablecoin, and then it allows you to, it's sort of interoperable, so it allows you to move across blockchain networks
Mm.
effectively. So that is exactly what the stablecoin is. So we then went to the CBN and explained, look, this is the impact, this is what it does for compliance, this is what it
Mhm.
does for security, this is what it does to ensure that people are sort of are protected, and you can also, understand how this is being done. The CBN had tried with the e-naira, but of course
Yeah.
the e-naira is not particularly um, does not particularly is not particularly built on the blockchain, or is built on a ledger controlled by the CBN, which
Yeah.
actually does have that purpose. So of course the stablecoin then comes in to fill that gap. And then the CBN said, you know
Mm.
what, we are not particularly sure whether we can regulate this, but we
Mm.
they raised the circle and said, you know what, yes, we are removing this our ban. Please go to the Securities and Exchange Commission, let them regulate. And then went to the SEC.
Mm.
You know what? We're gonna give you the incubatory license. Go push this out. Let us observe. Let us see how it works. Pilot it. Put it into the system, and then from there we can learn, and then we can regulate after we learn from that
Yeah.
process. So that's
Okay.
essential. So that's what we've done. We've been able to secure that license to introduce a stable coin which is pegged to the Nigerian naira,
Okay.
allowing for you to unwrap and off ramp directly to the blockchain.
So this news, I mean, this new, let me say, Neira stablecoin. I'm sorry, government. This new one is backed one to one with Naira, or it's also backed by other assets like gold or real
No, no,
estate
no.
and so on and so forth. Yeah.
It's back one to one with the naira.
Only.
Yes, only the naira.
Mm.
So you
Do,
know there are certain people who have sort of created some crypto ETFs, which
yeah.
allows you to, where they can sort of pull uh, an amount of assets together into a particular token in itself. So
Mm.
there are also people can do that in
Mhm.
the real sense. But what we have done is, because obviously Nigeria is, as it stands, Africa cryptocurrency's biggest market in Africa.
Yes.
We are then trying to,
Especially Bitcoin. Mm.
especially Bitcoin. We're trying to
Yeah.
drive that, that initiative. And
Mhm.
we then said, we set up the Africa Stablecoin Consortium, which doesn't just include Nigeria. We have the Blockchain Society of Kenya as well, who have come on board. We
Mm.
have partners in Mauritius, in Uganda. We're trying to put in some things in Ghana as well to come
Mhm.
on board, because this is not just Nigeria. Yes, we're starting out in Nigeria. We're trying to wrap
Yeah.
Nigeria, do that and put that. But of course, the
Mm.
point is to then expand into all those markets, into all the other
Mm.
areas, to have other currencies. Let the stablecoin consortium start as a policy and regulatory framework,
Mhm.
or sort of organization to sort of drive the adoption across Africa. That
Okay.
then literally allows, com- countries to be much more, or financial institutions, CBNs, to be much more open to this when
Mhm.
they are able to understand. There
Yeah.
is some level of transparency to, to what it is. And I think it's really because obviously it's sort of marked in some, I mean, these people are, without missing words, not particularly young people who
Mm.
understand. They're sort of, stuck in what they understand. But when
Yeah.
they're able to see the impact, and they see that, look, it's not a threat as it is perceived,
Mhm.
then the adoption, of course, then that just allows for much more adoption, not even just
Mm.
for cryptocurrency, but for the blockchain technology in itself, and
Yeah.
understanding the impact that does for transparency, for, for legality in itself.
Mm.
That's what the consortium is trying to achieve.
Okay. 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 Cool. Cool. So what we'll do, we will continue a little bit with Nigeria and Africa, and then we'll switch to Europe, to other part of the world. Yeah. So with this new regulation from Nigeria, except that stable coin, could you shed some light on the evolution of blockchain regulation in Nigeria in recent year, especially following the introduction of this first stable coin? Could we see, in other words, could we talk about, for instance, the regulation of future securities, tokenized securities, for instance?
Yes. Okay. So let Adebare talk. So Adebare will take primarily what we are the Securities and Exchange Commission regulation on virtual asset service providers, digital exchange. There is a regulation about that. Of course, it would also talk
Okay.
about the national blockchain policy, as well
Yeah.
as what this incubation, permit has sort of allowed us to do with respect of even the CBN ban and what you will trace that. So Adebare, go ahead.
Okay. Please, Adebayo.
Okay, thank you very much. So,
You're welcome.
well, as regards the evolution of crypto assets in Nigeria and crypto transactions in Nigeria, I'll go as far back as 2017. Prior to 2017, there was no official statement or there was no official position on crypto regulations in Nigeria. Personally, I started getting into crypto in 2016 before
Okay.
the Bitcoin halving of 2016. That's when I got my first Bitcoin personally.
Okay.
But prior to then, there was no official regulation in place. None of the regulators came out to say anything about crypto. But then from 2016, we saw an increase in interest from the general public on as regards crypto and crypto transactions generally. So regulators started coming in one after the other, trying to like create certain rules to guide individuals and corporate bodies on how to transact with crypto, because of course there were a lot of scams happening
Yeah.
around that time. You send your crypto to people and then they don't send you the money. I'm making reference to P2P transactions. And then
Yeah.
there were a lot of reports going on in banks, people saying, oh, I lost my money, somebody promised me, oh, they are going to invest my money in crypto, I can't get any returns from it, they ran away with my money. And then, to a very large extent, crypto can be untraceable.
Mm.
So that now brought in the aspect. In 2017, the Central Bank of Nigeria came out with a letter to all financial institutions, that's January 12th, 2017, that they should refrain from processing transactions with crypto companies or any
Yeah.
crypto related transactions. That was the first uh, letter that the CBN issued then. And then subsequently, in 2018, they came out with another paper that said crypto assets, virtual currencies, they are not legal tenders in Nigeria, and no organization should accept virtual assets or stable coins or cryptocurrencies as money in Nigeria. And then in 2022, they came out with another paper again, or rather 2021, they came out with another paper and to all financial institutions where they warn them severely that do not involve yourself in anything related to crypto transactions. Then in that 2021, there was a lot of uproar from the general public because people were getting into crypto very well then. A lot of people were involved in crypto transactions. One in out of every three Nigerians had a crypto wallet on their phone. Every Nigerian that had a smartphone, if you check one in everything, they had a crypto wallet and they do crypto transactions. So why will central bank now come out and say, oh, we do not accept crypto transactions or banks should not involve themselves in crypto transactions? Then they came up with another provision again, a follow up to the previous provision that to the previous regulation that they made, that look, we know what we are saying, we understand the public perception, we understand the public opinion that, oh, crypto should be allowed, crypto transactions should be allowed, but because of the high rate of fraud that we have noticed and the high rate of infractions, people trying to beat the system with crypto transactions and assets, let us wait a bit banks restrain, don't go into this fully. Let us monitor the trends and then we can come out with a regulation.
Mm,
Yeah. So in 2023, um, the SEC, that's the Securities and Exchanges Commission, they came out with their draft with their draft regulation on VASP. VASP stands for Virtual Asset Service Providers. So the regulation stands from digital asset offering platforms. It affects digital assets exchanges and
mm-hmm,
digital assets custodians.
mm-hmm,
So SEC, because it is securities, they they concern themselves with. They looked at crypto from the point of view of securities, of investment. Oh, you put
mm,
your money in this, you are expecting this certain return of it. So anybody that is doing any sort of cryptocurrency or any sort of virtual asset or any sort of distributed ledger technology asset, that's DLT asset, that promises to securitize an investment,
mm-hmm,
then you have to register with SEC.
mm. Okay.
So that is the point of view of SEC. And
Mm,
then CNGN got its regulatory license from SEC.
okay.
And what CNGN got from SEC as a crypto asset is to facilitate trade
Mm-hmm,
from Naira to other crypto assets for now.
mm, okay.
So yeah, so as a crypto asset, which is licensed by SEC, which got its license from SEC, then to trade from Naira to a crypto asset directly on the blockchain may not be easy. But with CNGN, it makes it very easy. And CNGN stands for compliance NGN. It's compliance.
Okay.
Yes. So it will be very easy to monitor such transactions, to make sure that such transactions are in line with the regulatory framework.
Mm.
And then
So,
in
mhm,
yes, in 2023, the federal government, through the National Technology Development Agency, came out with the Nigerian blockchain uh,
mm,
adoption policy. The policy is to ensure that is to create a framework for the adoption of blockchain technology across
mm,
the country. Yeah, so
okay.
it will cater to government agencies and private individuals on their adoption of blockchain technology.
Okay.
So that is
Um,
in a nutshell the evolution of the uh, crypto regulation in Nigeria.
okay. 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 So I have two questions which popped out when you were talking. This means that this regulatory framework does not give, except for the stablecoin, there is no definition of what are the other cryptocurrencies legal status.
Yes, to a very large extent, it deals with exchanges. So if you are
Yes.
establishing a crypto exchange in Nigeria, you need to
Mhm.
get the SEC license.
Okay.
Yes, and
But
if you are operating an offering platform, that is ICOs,
yeah.
initial coin exchange, yes, you need to get a license. And if you are operating a custodian, that is organizations that store crypto assets in bulk for other
Mm.
organizations, then you need a license from SEC too.
Mm. Okay, but for instance, did the SEC precised or gave to, for instance, Ethereum a legal status? Like, yes, Ethereum is a utility token or it's a security. Uh, yes, is there any? Yeah, I don't know how to say it again,
Now,
but kind of, yeah,
now, SEC has given some exchanges license. Now it is
yeah.
left to the exchanges to comply with the SEC regulation on the assets they are going to list on their platform.
Okay.
So SEC only issues license to exchanges. Whatever the exchange will list on its exchange on the
Yeah.
platform will have
Yeah.
to comply with the SEC regulation.
Okay. So if I understand, the SEC regulation is a general statement, legal statement, and inside in it, everybody should more or less pick.
Of course, of course. So you
Mm.
have to make sure, you have to ensure that whatever you are listing on your exchange is in compliance with SEC regulation. If not, then
Okay.
you are running foul of the regulation, and then SEC may come after you for that.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because
So they
I
yeah.
think the
Uh,
point you're trying to make is whether or not the regulation gives certainty to the definition of whether Ethereum blockchain as assets, and I think you then have to consider that when SEC is bringing out this, they are not particularly concerned about Ethereum or blockchain as it were. They are just trying to create a framework to ensure that people that issue, so because Ethereum blockchain, their issue, their mind, whatever. The point is, whatever platform is trying to issue any digital asset
mhm.
has to register as an issuer. But and if you then obviously want to offer digital assets to Nigerians, then you then have to register. And this is indicative of even what the MiCA seems to tries to cover.
Mm,
It's not
mm,
particularly concerned about what is being done in another country. France particularly
mm,
regulates its own jurisdiction. So the France stipulation is we'll register people that issue here. I would also register exchanges that offer to French nationals or that
mhm,
advertise or that that push their products to people based in France. Those are the people
mm,
that are subject to our regulation, and those are then the issuers. So whoever it is, whether then has to come, if you're trying to issue your own, of course, cryptocurrency, whatever it is,
mhm.
token, you then have to then apply to SEC through
Okay.
one of under the regulation for you to issue, submit the white paper, submit
Mm,
all that, then get that license. You're then able to list it
mhm.
on the exchanges, or if there is a need for there to be for a custodian to then hold certain aspects to sort of ensure some level of parity. You then have to,
Mm,
look at it. The point is consumer protection. So if the custodians have to come into play and they know that, look, we don't trust the issuer to also be the custodian, or
mhm.
we don't trust the exchanges to be the custodian, because we believe that custodianship should be somewhere else, exchange should be somewhere else. That's what they're just trying to put in the best possible framework to ensure
Yeah.
that there are different parties, there are different entities holding different aspects to ensure that nobody
Mm,
is and really, if you critically look at that, that is the point of decentralization.
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
in the real
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
and to
Okay.
add to
So,
what Adebayo has said, the SEC has given the exchanges some discretionary powers to be
okay.
able to figure out which asset they are listing on their exchange that is in compliance with SEC rules.
Mm,
Yes,
okay.
so if I approach an exchange and say, oh, I want you to list my asset on your exchange, then the
Mhm,
exchange will now look at the asset and be like, okay, this asset, does it comply with SEC rules? If it does, okay, we list. If it doesn't, we don't list.
mm,
And if a specific asset doesn't comply with SEC rules, and the exchange lists it, and then it leads to users of the exchange losing their money or their investments, and then they will be in problem with SEC.
okay. 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 Okay.
Yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes.
So yeah, I understood. So we are running out of the time. Let's talk a little bit about the European Union new regulatory framework called MiCA, Market in Crypto Assets. Um, so the question I want to ask is, what are the main obligations for companies using blockchain technology, especially concerning stablecoin and security token? Uh, for instance, let's say if these companies are from Nigeria, and they are already regulated by the SEC. do they need to comply to MiCA, or there is a kind of agreement between the SEC here in France, the SEC in Nigeria, and the EU authorities?
Yes. So the truth is, in these situations, these things that they are how do we put it? They are jurisdictional.
Mm,
Laws are jurisdictional in the real sense, and like I explained, even the MiCA in itself really doesn't govern anything outside. So let's
mm,
take a cue from what is being done by each jurisdiction. In
yeah,
Nigeria, they tell you, we are going to regulate people, exchanges, assets that are issued in Nigerians or are targeted at Nigerians.
yeah,
That's the same that is being done in France.
mm.
So
Yes.
there are no reciprocities in respect to of course, to those assets. So
Mhm,
if we've issued CNGN, for example, and then somebody in France wants to obtain CNGN, there is
mhm,
nothing that stops them from acquiring it,
yeah,
provided we would only need to comply with regulations in France if
mm,
we then target the French market, and that is the regulation. If we
mm,
target the French market, if we target, French citizens, if we are marketing to people based in France,
mm,
then we will then comply. But our position it's a Naira based, it's a Naira
mm,
based product. We are marketing it to Nigerians. Nigerians are
mhm,
to use it.
mhm,
Because it doesn't stop every other person from, acquiring it. And let us not look at what we are doing as something strange or something new. Let us look at the traditional market.
yeah,
Nigerian SEC regulates companies that are listed, in the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
mhm,
The New York Stock Exchange regulates companies that are listed in New York Stock Exchange. That doesn't stop Nigerians from investing in companies listed in the New York Stock Exchange.
mm,
But if those companies then come into Nigeria to carry out operations and want Nigerians to want to trade within the Nigerian Stock Exchange, then they have to comply to our own rules.
mm.
That is essentially what it is.
Okay.
MiCA, the European Union Financial and Regulatory, community just makes a lot of sense.
Mhm,
It just makes a lot of sense because they are able to issue uniform rules. And
yeah,
people then have to understand what exactly are uniform rules. Uniform rules they are not situation based.
mhm,
They are not specific transaction based. They
mhm,
are much more of a guideline.
yeah,
That's this is what we feel about this. When
mm,
you're adopting it to your own constituent, to your own specific, requirement, this is what we
mhm,
just think the base framework is. So when
mm,
you look at the history of uniform regulations in themselves, they are usually just a framework for you to enact. So
yeah,
countries may take that uniform framework and enact it into their own requirement and say, look,
mm,
this is how we think it works within our own jurisdiction. This is how
mhm,
it works within our own financial system. And then they
mhm,
adopt. But as it
yeah,
stands now, everybody is always very wary of it. In
yeah,
Africa, what we do here is different from what Ghana does, even if we have very similar language, very similar structures, and we're all
mm,
common, but it's all different.
yeah,
So that is exactly what it is. The MiCA is technically just a uniform system. It's a uniform regulation that allows the constituent entities to delve into. West Africa's economic policy does not allow that. We do not
mhm,
share we should not share similar financial systems. We have an economic, West African economic committee as a monetary committee, but
mhm,
they do not do anything. We do not have similar currencies. We do not have similar central banks. We do not have
mhm,
similar issue authorities. So we
mm,
are all allowed to just issue regulations and to guide our own respective financial systems, different completely from the EU.
mhm,
You know,
mhm, mhm.
we may just take cues. Sub-Saharan Africa has its own system.
Yeah,
Northern Africa, much more Islamic-based system. That's why you see a lot of North African countries have outrightly banned cryptocurrencies. Morocco,
mm,
Algeria, based financial systems have outlawed cryptocurrencies
mm,
as a whole. But then you see South Africa, Botswana, they are moving towards, South Africa has issued certain licenses. They are moving towards accepting that Nigeria is doing its own thing, Ghana is doing its own thing, Kenya is
yeah,
doing its own thing. So you see that there isn't particularly any monetary policy. Central Africa, for one, has actually released a policy because the
mhm,
Central Africa they share a similar monetary council, so
mhm,
they have released a policy. But what
mm,
exactly was their policy? Their policy says no to crypto. But then you see the Central African Republic has gone foul of the treaty and said, you know, I think they are the first country in Africa to allow Bitcoin as a legal tender.
Mhm.
So you can also see that there is still no uniformity per se. And
Yeah.
like, how do you exactly enforce, these regulations or this treaty within a sovereign nation? It's still
So
a very tricky topic.
yes. So could we hope that, for instance, the African Union will try to harmonize a kind of general regulation about crypto on the continent,
Well, I don't think that is going to happen.
or maybe
Because
ECOWAS?
no, I don't think that is going to happen. I think the best way for us to look at it is through
Mm.
the Africa Free Trade,
Yes.
yes, the Free Trade Agreement,
Mm.
which a lot of countries are adopting. If it comes under that type and saying, look, if you acquire regulation, if you're regulated in Nigeria or in a constituent authority, other African countries are able to trade that asset, and that asset then gets some level of acceptance, there's digital
Oh,
asset across the member state of the Africa Free Trade,
yeah.
agreement, then that's
So
fine.
that will be more of bilateral
Exactly.
relations. Mm.
Relations rather
Mm.
than you saying the applicability of your own regulations across those jurisdictions.
Yeah.
That's just not going to happen. We
Okay.
have people that made like French speaking Africa, it sort of has some level of uniformity in monetary policies.
Yes.
So they may,
BBCL.
yeah,
Mm.
they have much stronger bilateral relationship with respect to financial systems
Yes.
than West Africa, than the
Mm.
English speaking West Africa. So they may be able to, sort of come together, Niger, Burkina
Mm.
Faso, they come together and say, you know what, we are going to have very uniform policies. But
Yeah.
like I said, the only region that has put something together is the Central Africa, Republic region.
Yes. Yes.
And the Central African Republic has in fact gone foul of that treaty. So you're
Mm.
still seeing that, as it were, most countries in Africa are just trying to see, they're trying to adopt.
Mhm.
Africa is considered, one of it, a very prominent
Mm.
emerging system. So you see a
Mm.
situation where, BCG has indicated that emerging markets is going to constitute about $30 trillion per annum by 2025,
Yeah.
to the world's economy. And you're looking at people would, as much as possible, try to key into that system. Africa has
Mm.
fastest growing youth population. We have literally the fastest growing crypto adoption.
Yeah.
You know, so it is a key market.
Mm.
It is a key market. And then when
So,
you're
so,
then doing compliance
mm.
across Africa, it then becomes a very tricky problem because you're then complying across, constituent units.
So
But
okay.
the line we'll see something where there is
Mm.
some level of harmony or harmonization, which is what the African Stablecoin Consortium seeks to do as a
Mm.
regulatory and governance policy, driver across Africa.
Okay, so let's do a general conclusion because we are almost running out of time.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um, with this new stablecoin from Nigeria, regulated stablecoin, are we could we dream of a lot of new startup banks based solely on blockchain very soon
Oh,
across
in fact,
Africa?
no, of course, certainly. I don't even think it's a dream particularly. I think if you look at the trends across the three major economies, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa, you know that there is a future for it. There is
Mm,
the regulators are much more open to it.
yeah.
We've made a lot of strides in negotiations, in trainings, because you do have to train in a
Yes.
lot of and literally training is the key. So when
Mm,
you train, when you're able to do policy templates, and then you're able to then partner with local entities, local stakeholders to drive those
mhm.
policies, you can see a lot. And I think literally just watch out for the work the consortium is going to be doing over the next few years. We've made quite a
Mm,
lot of strides in Kenya, Uganda, Ghana, Mauritius. you know so let us see how far that goes. Let's see how far we can push these policies to drive adoption. We have partners
mm.
even in South Africa who have come on board, to join the consortium to say, look, we feel like uniformity in policy, in engagement is the best way to drive adoption across
Mm.
Africa.
Okay.
So we'll still
Uh,
do a lot of that.
okay. So what
Yeah,
will be your
I
yes?
just want to add something. I woke up this morning to a news article that the almighty Swift is trying blockchain transactions too. So
Yes.
if the switch system is trying to get into blockchain, then what is stopping smaller banks too from also trying to do the same? Yes, and I feel the future is bright. Yes, for crypto transactions and blockchain transactions right now.
That yes, I'm 100% I agree with you. I agree with you. So we ran out of the time, so I will give you each of you 30 seconds to just give advice, tell people where to find you, and yeah, a last word.
Yes. Oh, so
Goodbye.
yes. I mean, for because of course our tentacles have sort of expanded beyond Nigeria with our work with Africa Stablecoin Consortium. So you can always reach out to us. Reach out to me personally, LinkedIn. You can send an email, bio@cresthall.legal. You can go to our website, cresthall.legal, to reach out to us, as well as at the Barry@cresthall.legal. Really, even on LinkedIn, just check our names on LinkedIn, connect with
Mm,
us. We're always willing to share. I mean, share experiences, for you to understand, connect you with, key players, even within, these jurisdictions that we already operate in. So we're just willing
mm,
to make those connections, make those networks, make your
mm,
coming into Nigeria seamless. And I mean, on a different note, there is also a French company who is coming into Nigeria, which Adebayo
yeah.
also, just recently engaged.
Mm,
Who are also coming into Nigeria. We've set up we're in the process of acquiring, all necessary permits for them to operate in Nigeria. So those are the
mm.
kind of things we help our people trying to come into Africa, come into Nigeria primarily because, you come into Nigeria,
It's a
you're
big
literally,
market. Yeah,
yeah, I mean,
200
confirm,
million people at least.
it is a big market.
It's a very big market. Thank you very much, Adebayo. Adebare, last word.
Yeah, the time is so short. I really wish we had a lot of time to break everything down for your listeners, but I guess we have another session with you where we'll take our time to break all the
Absolutely.
regulations down. Yes, but as Adebayo has said, we are always here for you. If you are
Mm,
coming down here to establish your business, irrespective of what the political situation might be, business
mm.
always continues. Business first, making money, we prioritize that, and
And serve
having
people.
impact having impact, creating impact on the society at large. So yeah, we are your one-stop shop for anything that has to do with setting up your new business interest here in Nigeria, in Africa at large, and we look forward to do business with every single one of you that
Thank
will
you
be
very much.
interested in having business. Yes.
Thank you very much, Adebare. Thank you very much, Adebayo.
Yeah,
It
thank you
wants
very much.
it will again reconnect and maybe do a stream for 1 or 2 hours. We'll see in the very near future. So thank you very much for your time,
Yeah,
dear
likewise,
friend.
we are
You're
always
welcome.
open to it. Yeah.
Well, you can connect with Adebayo Mise and Adebare Akinu. Sorry for your name, Akinu Numi.
Mhm.
Akiwumi.
Akiwumi.
Akínwùmí.
Yeah,
Yeah, Akiwumi.
yes, on LinkedIn, and yes, and if you can't find them, just send me a message, and I will link them to you. So thank you very much, dear friend, and see you very
Yeah,
soon.
thank you. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Thank
Have a
you,
lovely
Christian. Yes, have a nice weekend.
Thank you very much. Ciao.